Hi, it's Carol from Allergy Free Living, and today we have a nice guest. This guest is my son, Nicholas.
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Now, Nick was unfortunate to get the same allergy that I have, and he is also celiac. Now, Nick is a good cook, and he's going to help me today with the sausage spinach bread. We're going to do it in different levels here. So we're going to start off with what you need to do to get your pizza dough. And while I'm doing that, the first thing I want to let you know is that the pizza dough that I'm using is this right here. I've shown you that. It's in the pantry. And if you haven't looked at my pantry, it was the first video, then you really need to see it, because in order to be able to do all these things, you have to have the products available. So this stuff is fantastic. We're going to start off with a parchment paper that's cut to the same size as whatever pizza stone that you have. And I'm going to take olive oil and a brush, and I'm going to brush the parchment paper. We're doing this because I'm going to be rolling this pizza. So you couldn't do it any other way than putting the oil on this. If you tried it on your pizza stone without the parchment paper and prepping it, it's not going to work. So you've got to do it this way. And you know, I know it's extra oil, but extra oil makes it good. And it's olive oil, so that's even better.
One of the reasons too, I've had several friends in the past who have tried to use a gluten-free type of dough, and they've gone without any oil or any parchment, smeared, ripped, and they give up. And they decide that that's not the right way. If it's a bad way, and that celiac gluten-free is just too hard. But if you can use it the right way, you'll never fail.
And that's why we're doing this, because we want you to know all the tips for making gluten-free food just like your regular food. And that's why I want to incorporate all this stuff and show you, because you're not going to learn it any other way. Nick, could I have that, the meal, the cornmeal?
Absolutely.
There, please. Now, I said you had to put oil on it, and you also have to put cornmeal. Now, you know what? I didn't have any cornmeal, so I'm going to show you. That's why having a good pantry, you can improvise. This is what I had. This is Bob Red Mill cornbread. So it has lots of cornmeal in it, and it was just what I needed. So that's why have a good pantry, and you'll be able to make food without a problem. Thank you. Okay, so now we have our parchment paper prepped. Now, again, gluten-free pizza dough is hard to deal with if you have just your hands and nothing on it. Now, I have a little bowl of water, and I get my hands nice and wet. And then I take some of this oil, and I put it on my hands. Now, I start out with the dough so that it's round, okay? And I'm putting it on the parchment paper, just so you see. I'm starting like that. Now, I find that if you use a rolling pin, it will go quicker. Again, you had to put, I used this brush, and I brushed the olive oil all over it. Okay. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to have Nick, while I'm doing this, he can explain to you the products that we're going to be using in this dish. Okay, and you can watch me, and then you can listen to Nick or whatever. So go ahead, Nick, it's all yours.
Thanks, Mom, and it's a pleasure to be here with everybody today. Thanks for tuning in. So today with the filling, we're going to be using some of the best ingredients alone. You're going to have 1 large onion, and you're going to take 3 cloves of garlic. What you want to do first is take those onions, saute them as a prep using olive oil or butter, whatever you choose to use, and let it saute until it's nice and soft. I'd say about 10 minutes. Then you're gonna take, at the final part of this, you're gonna 3 cloves and actually either have them already pressed through a garlic press or chop them up finely and put them in the saute. We've already started our saute, and we'll show you that. We did that for the message of time. But what you'll want to do is make sure that you put the onion, the garlic in last after the onion so that it doesn't burn. Once you've gotten that to a nice caramelized state, you'll want to make sure to have your Alfresco sweet apple sausage already taken out, diced up, nice small pieces. You can use other types of sausages if you find a good ground sausage. I prefer that, that's my favorite. Nice and fatty, that's where the flavor is. So I like to mix that up together. You can now put that into your pan and simmer it, as well as turning it and browning the sausage. Once you're done with that, you're going to already have, we like to use already frozen spinach. It comes out nice and fresh. If you decide to use your own and wilt it, that's fine as well. It'll just take a little more time. But on the side, when you're doing that, you'll want to use 10-ounce bag of chopped spinach. And when you're doing that, you want to boil it. Now once you've boiled it, and it's completely to the temperature that you want it, you'll empty the boiled water into the sink and make sure, and this is crucial, nothing is going to make a beautiful pie like this go south faster than a wet pizza. You have to make sure you drain that completely. Sometimes if you want to actually take a dry paper towel and damp it down too, that's okay. The goal here is to be dry. Once you've finished with that, you'll put the spinach into your pan and saute it, mixing it together so that all the flavors can combine, mixing it together so that you have an even distribution of onion, garlic, sausage, and finally the spinach. So once you've finally brought this up and got this to a nice warm temperature, it doesn't have to be too hot because don't forget you're going to be baking this. Once you've gotten this up to a nice temperature, it should be, like I said, evenly mixed and have the consistency of what you see about there. So after that's done, Mom, what's the next step?
Well, the next step is, now that I've done this pizza dough, I want to show you how it's on the parchment paper, okay? This is the parchment paper. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move all this stuff out of the way. Thank you. Now I'm going to put this in the, well, you can't really see that. That's the lovely thing about the home recording here. Well, you know what? I do my best, guys, and I write all the information down. So we're going to take the cheese. Could I have that? Mm-hmm. I have 2 cups of cheese, grated cheese, and I always use the Cabot cheese. And I'm going to spread the cheese around, and you're going to leave 1 inch on the edge. So if you don't leave an inch on the edge, then it's going to come out when you roll it up. We're going to roll it up. I'll do this side, you can do that side.
So you leave it spaced about 1 inch so that you can press it seal and it
Right.
can join it together, right?
Right. When I roll it, and that's why I'm doing it on the parchment paper, so that it will come out. You'll see when I roll it. And I hope that it shows it properly for you. But I kind of have a feeling that people who are watching this kind of have a general idea of cooking, but you're just learning the products from me. That's what I think. And if you're a new cook, I've always said to you, if you have a question, you ask me on the comments section where you watch the video. You just ask me any question and I'll try to answer it. I really will. I've been doing this for 10 years or more. So I pretty much have it down pat. I'm not saying I know everything, because I don't, but with your questions, I'll learn something. So, the next now is, we're going to be putting this stuff on. And remember, it's important to put the cheese first, so that this stuff doesn't make it soggy. So let's put.
Sure. Now, do you spread it evenly over the whole
Yeah.
like you would almost be making a pizza?
Right,
Okay.
right, but remember that inch edging, because you'll see when I go to roll it up. And while Nick is doing this, everything's in stages, guys, and I'm really trying to work on the sound, the video, and everything. But I'm doing this all by myself. Today we have Nick. And so at least you have the ingredients, and I'm giving you information. If you can't see everything, you know, I think if you're a cook, you can pretty much assume what you have to do. But we'll try to do our best here.
One of the great things about living in today's world is that you're able to simply log on to YouTube or anywhere on the internet and find wonderful recipes. Something 10, 15 years ago when we were diagnosed, it wasn't as easy. And so to have something like this at the click of your fingers, folks, it's so wonderful. It truly is. And it might be challenging when you're just starting off, but give it time. And I'm a testimony as well. My mother I'd call her up, or she would show me a new recipe that she created, and it took a little bit of time, trial, failures, success as well. But you may fail sometime, but don't give up. Keep trying. You'll make sure you get it, and you'll succeed with the beautiful, beautiful food that my mother can help you create.
Now we're all set. Now I'm coming to the end of this. I'm going to try to bring it as close as I can. You know, Nick, maybe we're going to fold it like this.
Mm-hmm. That looks good.
And we keep rolling it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring it up closer, just so that you can see. Because of this parchment paper, I'm kind of pushing. You can see the parchment paper is helping me. If you didn't have this parchment paper, guys, you couldn't do this. You couldn't. Gee, thanks, Nick. Boy, I gotta have him around for all of my videos. All right, so we're just gonna keep doing this. And you're gonna see, like, I'm going to put some more oil on my fingers, okay? And you're gonna find that that's what's gonna happen. Sometimes that's why it's kind of better to let the parchment paper do it, roll it. Okay, now I'm coming to the end of the parchment paper. Now, what I'm gonna do is, first I'm gonna wet my hands a little. Now, I'm going to put this pan, now you can't see it, and you can't see me, and that's perfectly okay. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm moving this over to this jelly roll pan, and I'm going to, for the last roll on this, and I'm just gonna carefully, very carefully, there. Okay, now, all right, again, I'm going to get my hands with some more oil. And you know, some of you are probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of oil, but if you have a pizza, you definitely have oil on it. Now, what I've done is, I'm taking the edges. See the edges right here? And I've just pinched them, and I keep putting my fingers in the oil, because this is really the only way to do it. All right, is that way. Now, I just want to remind you that when you came to the end of the roll, you always have the open end on the bottom. You don't want to see it, and you don't want it on the top, because if it opens, nothing's going to come out. So I'm taking a little bit more of the oil and I'm just like going around this whole thing here. If I see little pieces, like there's a little opening, even here I see it. And I'm gonna take my fingers with the oil and see how it just kind of,
Marries together.
yeah. You can use water as well, but we're just trying to do this quickly. Now, this is what it looks like in the pan right now, okay? I hope that's good enough, and I'm going to get myself a knife. This one here. I'm using a serrated one so that you can see,
This one.
thank you. Now, every 1.5 inches, you're just going to slice it. It just lets the air that's from the bottom come up, and it will go through the slices, and it won't pop up or anything. It's much better to do this. Okay, there you go. That's what it looks like, okay? Now, the last thing I do is I touch it again with the oil, just lightly like this, like a pat. And then I take, I'll tell you, there's 2 things you can do. Now, if you have high blood pressure, they probably say don't do the salt. Sometimes if you sprinkle a little salt on it, that's really good. But we'll put a little bit of the Parmesan cheese and we'll just sprinkle it around. If you were gonna do the salt, I would say that you use that sea salt because they're the big hunks. All right, this is done like this, and it's going to go in an oven, 400. Actually, I think, what does that say? I think it's 350. I think it's 350, and I'll put all that on the video, but I think it is 350, and I think it could take 40 to 50 minutes. But again, I've always stated to you, everybody's oven is different. Mine runs high, so I have to watch it. So it's 350, and it will be for 40 minutes, and then check. So I'll put them in. Okay, guys, as I always say, the wonders of cooking. See, here we have it. This is the bread, and this is it done. Now this looks good, doesn't it? I think it looks really good. And it still has the lines, but see how it's kind of widened and flattened, which is good. It's very good. And there you go. I think that you will really enjoy this with a salad, anything that can go along with a pizza type of stuff. Well, I really appreciate you guys visiting us today, and I'm gonna have Nick again here. I'm gonna have him probably do something, one of his really favorite dishes, and I'll just help a little, we'll turn it around so that he'll do it. Well, again, thank you very much, and we will see you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
And good cooking.
Bye.